Good morning. Um, Looks like everything is working accordingly. Hopefully, that's true. Um, we are going to be starting an alpha reading plan with Nikki Gumbel called "Why Jesus," um, because I was running out of structure and I thought that it would be alpha themed, and I appreciate Nikki Gumbel a lot. I've talked about him a bit. He's one of the leaders of the Alpha series, and um, he does a 365-day devotional every year that I read once. It took me 3 years. It was great. But we're going to be in John chapter 14. Let's see. I'm going to start at verse 6, and then we're going to go onward. And I'm in the NLT. Jesus told him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." Uh, then 10 through 11. Don't you believe that I am the Father and the Father is in me? The words I speak are not my own, but my Father who lives in me does his work through me. Just believe that I am the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe because of the work you have seen me do. When I read those again. So this is again John 14:6. Jesus told him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me." And John 14:10 through 11. Don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words I speak are not my own, but my Father who lives in me does his work through me. Just believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe because of the work you have seen me do. Dope. All right. Who is Jesus? Jesus is the most remarkable man who ever lived. He is the centerpiece of our civilization. After all, we call what happened before him before Christ, or BC, and what happened after him AD. Some people think he is just a good religious teacher. However, that suggestion does not fit with the facts. Point A, his claims. Jesus claimed to be the unique Son of God, on an equal footing with God. He assumed the authority to forgive sins. He said that one day he would judge the world, and that what would matter then would be how we had responded to him in this life. C.S. Lewis pointed out that a man who was merely a man and said the sort of things Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be insane or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice, he writes. Either Jesus was and is the Son of God, or else he was insane or evil. B, his character. Many people who do not profess to be Christians regard Jesus as the supreme example of selfless life. As far as his teaching is concerned, there seems to be general agreement that it is the purest and best ever to have fallen from human lips. To C.S. Lewis, it seemed clear that he could neither have been insane or evil, and thus concludes, however strange or terrifying or unlikely it may seem, I have to accept the view that he was and is God. C, his conquest of death. The evidence for the physical resurrection is very strong indeed. When the disciples went to the tomb, they found that Jesus' body was absent. In the next 6 weeks, he was seen by over 500 people. The disciples' lives were transformed, and the Christian church was born. And then grew at a dynamic rate. A former Lord Chief Justice of England, Lord Darling, said of the resurrection, "In its favor as living truth, there exists such overwhelming evidence, positive and negative, factual and circumstantial, that no intelligent jury in the world could fail to bring in a verdict that the resurrection story is true. The only satisfactory explanation for these facts is that Jesus did indeed rise from the dead, and thus confirms that he was and is the Son of God. Amazing. Um, yeah, so it's simple, but I like the path that Alpha takes. Um, it starts off with the idea of just like, why would any of this matter? Like, um, what kind of questions do we have? What do we inherently find important to our lives? And um, like, what are we looking for as people? And I think that's a very relatable way to start. And then it immediately starts talking about Jesus, the crux of the Christian faith, and him in his godhood in sacrifice. I'm talking about the personhood of Jesus and the evidence. I like talking about evidence. I've always been a very, like, I don't know, logical person as far as like finding faith. I know everybody experiences faith in God differently, and um, reason might be one of my favorites of the Wesleyan quadrilateral, but I'm glad that we can be starting Alpha together again. I know that a lot of you guys came through with us the first time. We got off to a really nice start with the youth group, asking those big questions, and they've got an updated series that I think is more relevant in the present modern world. And I'm glad we get to share that with the youth. And I've heard good things from everybody else. So definitely, if you've already been to your small group, I hope it's gone well, and I hope that you go again next week. And if you haven't, and I hope you still are either looking forward to yours or quickly find one. But yeah, it's a good time. I'm still adjusting from Japan, so this is just going to be short, and that's okay. But I'll say a quick prayer and then say goodbye. Hey, God. Help me to live in a place of understanding who you are and being able to answer the question, why Jesus? I want to love you and have a relationship with you. In your name, amen.